What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the KindaFunny Xcast, your home for all things Xbox here at KindaFunny. Of course, I'm one of your hosts, Snowbike Mike, and today I am joined by my two gaming dads, my favorite dudes here on planet Earth and in the gaming verse, my guys, Paris Lilly and Gary Whitta. Paris, I'm going to start with Gary because we got to celebrate again. We talked about it last week. Loodle on the rise. Gary, are we celebrating 4 million players this week?
Yeah, we broke two records today. We passed 4 million total players, and yesterday we also surpassed our record for the most number of players who play in any single day. It's like 450,000 people played yesterday. So I don't know what to tell you. It's getting out of control.
Congratulations, Gary. It sounds like it's going really, really well, and it's awesome to see those milestones hit and get to talk about that with you. It's really, really fun. And last week we talked about just the idea, the concept, and the reality of making it and where you're at now. Did you imagine you were going to be this far, here at week 7, 5? Did you think you were going to be at those numbers?
No, not at all. When Adam and I first started kind of tooling around with the idea, it was just meant to be a goof, like, oh, what if you did Wordle but with naughty words? Like, it was just a stupid joke, and we imagined it would be a 2-day joke that might give people a giggle for a couple of days, but then you move on to the next thing. We didn't think it would have any legs, but I don't know. It struck a chord in some way. I remember saying to Adam at the time, if we get like maybe 10,000 people to play it for a couple of days, that would be like a huge win. And we're at 4 million. So I honestly don't know what is going on. But yeah, I'm expecting the call from Phil Spencer to put it on Game Pass any day now.
I like that. On Game Pass. Phil, call him up. He's ready. What is a final one on this one? What's the next step, Gary? Are you thinking what's next? Are we still just in the day by day? This is our hobby. We're laughing. We're having fun. I see you're sending messages out to big influencers. I mean, what's the deal, Gary? What are we doing
it's kind of a similar. It's like Animal Talk and all over again. Mike, you remember you worked with me on Animal Talk, and you were my hype man, so you remember the story there. And that was another thing that started as a goof and got a little bit out of control. We suddenly wound up with big celebrity guests and mainstream media coverage and all this stupid stuff. And then this was a similar thing. Started as a goof. But it does get. I mean, we literally have had these conversations with Adam and I and Leah, who works on the game with me, and some other people behind the scenes. Like, when you're at 4 million players, like, you kind of have to. It changes the equation, right? You kind of almost have to. You do have to take it seriously because we have this big audience now, and we're thinking about what we want to do next. We just added a new member to the team. There's a very funny comedian and comedy writer by the name of Jenny Johnson, who we like a lot. She's been on Drunk History and has done a bunch of really funny stuff. She's actually working with us now to help grow the dictionary. She's on board as a lexicographer. People keep saying, wow, how many lewd words are there? I said, well, you'd be surprised actually once you start digging. One of the things I really like about the game is a lot of like today's word and other words that we've had have been words where people they've never heard of them, but once you've learned them, it's like you kind of wish you could unlearn them.
No, today's word, Gary, is a word that'll go down in history.
It was a good one. So those are my favorite ones where people have to like click on the definition to get the word. And the thing that I enjoy the most is watching people, because they tweet out, much like Wordle, you can tweet out there's a button to share your grid, your solution, but you can also people often add a comment. And my favorite one when we do a word like today's is, I wish I could rewind my life like 30 seconds and not click on that button so I could never know that word. But it's a vocabulary builder. It's educational. So we're really enjoying it. I honestly can't tell you what's going to happen next. It's taken us all by surprise, but we're loving doing it. Loodlegame.com if you want to go play it. LEWDLEGAME.com.
Educational, he says to me, Paris Lilly. He's continuing to expand my vocabulary in all the wrong ways, but I still love him the same. He's the best. Paris, welcome back. I know last week we talked about it. You were boycotting the Super Bowl. I want to still pick your brain about that. Did you watch? What did you think of the halftime show? What did you think of the game?
I unfortunately watched, and it ended exactly how I thought. I did protest it for the first half though, but I did watch the second half. Yeah, and I had to watch the halftime show. I mean, to bring in Dre, Snoop, even 50 Cent showed up. Eminem closed it out. Look, does Mary J. Blige age? I don't think she ages.
Incredible.
Timeless, but no, it was great. It was great. They did a great halftime show. But now I want to spin this back to Gary for just a second.
Okay.
Gary, you jokingly said when Microsoft did the Activision deal that you had an announcement coming that was going to be even bigger.
Yeah.
You're right.
Oh.
And that was Loodle, and that was
You-
and that, I mean, again, the fact that I made that joke, I think illustrates how stupid I realized that I
No,
knew that
you're
it was,
right.
because it was such a
were,
trivial little
because our
thing.
4 million people, talking about the Microsoft Activision thing every week.
No, exactly. You
So,
have
there you go.
4 million people engaging with that game every day. So, dude, congrats to you, man.
It's
fantastic.
great, and I appreciate that. Thank you. But the same, I mean, obviously, you take your wins where you can get them. I wish that I could get like even 1/10 of this traction on like the serious projects that I put real effort into. But like, it's always the dumbest shit that resonates the most for some reason. Maybe I should just like lean hard into doing really stupid ideas. But no, like I said, it's been great, and watching people play it. Like you said, we were watching Pokemon play it today on her stream, and she plays it every day. And it puts a smile on people's faces. We don't mean it to be taken seriously as a word game like Wordle. You can play it that way, but it's really just a vehicle for very juvenile comedy.
Right.
It makes people laugh. Then you'll get puts a smile on your face. Then it's all been worth it. And I'm really, really glad that we did it, because like I said, it's gone farther than we ever could have imagined, and it's brought me a lot of joy, and I think joy to either joy or the exact opposite to a lot of people over the past. And here's the thing: it's a month old. It's our month anniversary of Loodle today.
Wow.
We went from 0 to 4 million.
Yeah,
which
that's impressive.
I was talking to Adam Nickerson, who is he's the guy that actually coded the game and put it up on the web. He's a game developer. He's done many video games, and he's very plugged into the game development community. And he's been talking to some game developers saying these numbers are insane. Like they're game people on Steam would kill for these kinds of numbers.
Right,
so
exactly.
it's
Yeah.
been crazy. And again, it's free. It's a 2-minute distraction out of your day. You can't really take it that seriously. But like I said, we've struck a chord somehow. People really enjoy engaging that side of their brain. It's an opportunity for people to kind of be a little bit naughty, a little bit risque, but in a safe context, as we're all just playing a game. And I don't know, we tapped into something. I don't know what it is, but it's we'll see how far this ride takes us.
Speaking of the series projects, really quick, Gary, I just want to shout out that you are also working on the Batman comic series, which is dope as hell.
Because I know you're Barrett. You're the big Batman fan, so I've had you in mind actually this week as we were launching it, thinking. I honestly, in all seriousness, I was thinking like, I hope Barrett likes this, because I know you're a really big Batman fan, and those are the people. Obviously, you would want it to appeal to everyone, but the people that really know the character and really, have played all the video games and read all the comics and seen all the movies and really, really know their Batman. My hope is that it's those kind of fans that will embrace it. So I'm really anxious to see what you think of it when it comes out in May.
Yeah, like I'm excited to read it in May. And you already have my attention with the premise, right? The Dark Knight rises to protect the planet from invasion, but where is
Superman's gone missing.
Really like
the Earth's being attacked by aliens, and Batman has to kind of figure out a way to come up with some kind of defense for Earth in Superman's absence. And there's obviously a big tie into like why Superman's disappeared, and the title is a bit of a giveaway. There's a strong connection to the Fortress of Solitude, and to get to play with all of my favorite DC characters, not just Batman and Superman, but like all of the Justice League guys, and then even like a bunch of really fun characters like much farther down the roster, has been just so much fun to play in that toy box. I've loved it.
That's awesome.
All right, well, Paris, let's hold and put a pin on you, because I'm coming back to you with a viewer question to kick off the show. But let's jump right into it, because, of course, this is the Kinda Funny Xcast. We post each and every Saturday at 6 a.m. West Coast, Best Coast time on youtube.com/KindaFunnyGames, roosterteeth.com, and, of course, on podcast services around the globe. Don't forget, Kinda Funny is now Epic Games Partners, which means if you are buying maybe Tom Holland, Nathan Drake, and all of the gang from Uncharted and Fortnite, or if you're buying some Rocket League cosmetics, or if you're buying games off the Epic Games Store on PC, please consider using our Epic Creator Code KindaFunny at checkout. It's no additional cost to you. It's a brand new way to help support the team here at Kinda Funny. Along with the support, we'd like to thank our Patreon producers for the month of February for their support. So shout out to Gordon McGuire, James Davis at James Davis Makes, Pranksky, Tyler Ross, Delaney Twinning, First Responder ND, Julian the Gluten-Free Gamer, James Hastings, and Casey Andrew. We also would like to thank our sponsor for the week, Upstart and Green Chef, but myself and the team will tell you a little bit about that later. Let's jump in with a viewer question to kick off the show. This comes from Mike, and I thought of you, Paris, because this is directed for you, and a big game release next week. So we got to talk about time management. And so here's the question. He says, Paris, how do you split your gaming time between new games and returning to Destiny 2? I played around with Destiny some last year and discovered it's easily a game that could sap all of your time. Destiny 2, The Witch Queen, next week. Paris, how do you find that balance? You're the ultimate dad. You're the gaming dad. You're the dude on the streets knowing it all, and you're working hard. How are you going to balance this?
You don't. I'm not even kidding when I say that. I probably missed out on so much in the previous generation because I played that much Destiny. Like, it was funny. I had posted my PlayStation hours on Destiny and Destiny 2. I mean it was over 2,000, and that was just on PlayStation. That wasn't even counting Xbox or on the PC. It's tough. It is. And Witch Queen is coming out next week. I'm going to be playing it, when it comes out. I'm going to be sinking a lot of time into it. And wait, you guys still hear me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was weird. The screen went blank. That was weird. Yeah, I mean, being all serious, just overall, when it comes down to it, obviously work, family take priority over gaming. It really just comes down to lack of sleep. I mean, that's what it is. It's pulling in those late nights after you've done everything else with the family. They go to bed, and then I'll stay up probably an extra 3 or 4 hours, into the wee hours, still playing games. And then obviously right now we're kind of in this crazy review season as well with all these other games coming out. So it's just trying to figure it out and prioritizing things. Like, I played a lot of Horizon Forbidden West because we did the review on that. I'm putting that down now because now I want to go back. I want to finish Sifu. I want to play the Witch Queen. Elden Ring's about to come. And like, there's all this stuff that's happening at once. But I still need to be a dad. I still need to be a husband. I still need to actually work my 9-to-5 job at the same time. So it's just time management. That's just the best way to say it. You just have to figure it out. Oh, and the gym. Oh, and the gym too. So got to get that in.
I see you deadlifting out there, Paris, getting it up. Oh yeah. Paris, when we talk about Destiny 2, you, I, and Gary had a fun conversation about the Division 2, right? And these big games as a service, these big games with a lot of content, and how people approach them differently, right? A lot of people chase the rabbit and they go right into it. They beat it within a week and then they demand more. Maybe they piece it out and they take their time. What's your approach when we look at, Destiny 2 and the Witch Queen? Like, what's going to be the approach for Paris Lily next week?
You mean as far as my game plan?
Are we beating it all in 1 week? Are you going to piece it out? What's the game plan?
Oh yeah, I mean, as far as the campaign goes, I'll knock that out next week for sure.
Okay,
but then there's layers to this, right? Because there's also the legendary difficulty that they're adding to this for the campaign as well. So depending on going in and playing it and seeing how hard that is, what power level I need to be at, I'll probably want to go back with a fire team, go back and beat it on legendary because you're going to get more loot. The whole thing about Destiny is chasing the loot. You're that constant carrot on the stick. Obviously, any new strikes, any new secrets, because that's another big thing with Destiny. Why I keep coming back to it? They always figure out some kind of secret to put in there, some secret mission, some mystery that gets the whole community engaged to want to go chase it. We obviously know the raid's not going to be there right away, but in a few weeks when the raid comes out, I'm going to want to do that as well. We know a new dungeon is coming. There's always going to be something. I would say if there's anything about the Witch Queen that has my curiosity is what is PvP going to look like. We know there's been what's the word I'm looking for here? A de-emphasis on PvP lately, right? Trials is still going to be there, Iron Banner and all that, but unless it's slipping my memory, I can't think of any new PvP maps that are coming right now. I know they're overhauling Gambit, things like that. So we'll see what some of the activities look like. So, new public events, I'm sure, are coming, all that. And again, just that whole throne world where Savathun is, there's going to be all these different mysteries in there that we have to unravel. So there's going to be a ton to do. And that's why I'm saying it's when you really play Destiny, you have to commit time to it, or there's definitely going to be that sense of FOMO because there's just going to be so many different things you want to do, especially when new content comes out that, if you're not dedicating any real time to it, you're just going to get left behind. That's just how Destiny works. But the great thing about Destiny is you don't necessarily have to do it day one. You can come back to it down the road. But then by that point, a lot of these mysteries have been solved and you're not discovering them for the first time. You know what I mean? That's part of the appeal for Destiny for me, is being a part of that first wave that's discovering all these new things, as you go through the game. So I'm excited for it. Really looking forward to Tuesday. Oh,
Paris, who do you roll with when you play Destiny? You're doing the end game content where you really need to be in an organized group. Do you have like a regular crew that you play with?
I have my clan that I play with. And I'll jump in. Like this is almost going to be like a reunion, because I'll fully admit I've taken an extended break from Destiny just because I knew Witch Queen was going to get pushed out. So all the stuff that we had with the last one, I kind of had already done a while back. So I just kind of took a break from it. Like I didn't really engage in a lot of the 30th anniversary stuff. So to me, I'm excited to go back, because now Resolute, that's the clan I'm in, I get to hang out with those guys again. We get to jump in and start doing some stuff together in Destiny. So it should be fun.
Exciting stuff, Paris. It's going to be a big week. And of course, it's always fun when the viewers write in. And we have a quick part 2 that I want to get in, because it's awesome to hear from our producer, Barrett, on the ones and twos. Barrett is behind the scenes on all of our podcasts and content, making it so great. And it's fun to get involved in the conversation. That's what Mike wants to do. He says, on a similar note, when you tackle games like Persona 5 Royale, Barrett, are you hyper-focused on that game until you beat it, or will you take breaks and try out other stuff in between?
It depends on the time of year. I had started another Persona 5 Royal playthrough back in like late November, and that was mainly shout out to the Take Your Time podcast hosted by IGN's Jonathan Dornbush and Tom R. Marks, because they were getting close to like the new content in Royal, and one of them is experiencing it for the first time. So when they were getting closer and closer to that, near the end of November going into December, I was like, oh man, I'm excited for them to, like, one of them to experience it for the first time. So I started up a new playthrough, and kind of just binged through it in like a little over a month to kind of catch up to where they're at. And so that's like a just a quick 100 hours over the course of a month that I'm playing through. And it kind of lined up perfectly, though, because there wasn't much out there for me at that time going into like the holiday, right? And so it was a lot of just like late nights playing, and like waiting until my similar to Paris, right? Like you wait until, for me, I don't have a child, but wait until the wife and dog go to bed, and then you play from 10 p.m. until 2 a.m. and then you're like, all right, I gotta get up in like 6 hours, and that is the kind of the loop that you kind of have to keep yourself on. And it's hard to balance all of that, especially because video games aren't my only like source of primary entertainment, right? There are so many TV shows that I'm trying to keep up with, movies that I love to go back to, and have Friday movie nights with my wife and stuff. So it depends on the time of the year. I think I haven't even finished that Persona 5 Royal playthrough yet, and I think that's definitely prevalent with with Sifu coming out a couple weeks ago, and then Horizon Forbidden West coming out today. Like, I've just been really, really busy, and I still have like an hour or two left of that Persona 5 Royal playthrough. So it's definitely like, if I'm visiting a game that I've definitely played several times before, like that will take the backseat if new things are coming out. But it's definitely, if something's quiet and there's not a lot releasing, like, yeah, I'll probably just focus on that for the time being, since there's nothing, no date that I have to hit with embargoes or stuff like that.
That's awesome. Well, thank you to Mike for kicking off the show with your viewer question. We truly appreciate all of the best friends around the globe writing in, getting their questions, and us answering, having some fun with the conversation with you. But let's jump in to this week's news. And we got a big question out there. Did Halo kill Battlefield 2042? We got to have this conversation, because EA and some executives have had a conversation during a town hall meeting, and they put as one of the key factors in Battlefield 2042's shaky launch was Halo Infinite's release. So let's jump in to it from xfire.com. We have Tom Henderson with a really good insight right now. Reading from the article, it says EA has finally acknowledged that the disappointing launch of Battlefield 2042 in its latest internal town hall meeting call held today on February 15th. One of the biggest takeaways from the call held today was the huge focus on Battlefield 2042. EA execs spent over 20 minutes discussing what went wrong with the launch, and also how the company sees the future of both Battlefield 2042 and the Battlefield franchise going forward. Laura Miele, EA's chief studios officer, led the discussion on Battlefield 2042 by acknowledging EA's wider successes, both past and present, but said, quote, "It's really important to acknowledge when we have misses." Then continued, "This is certainly the case with the Battlefield launch, which failed to meet expectations of our players and also clearly missed our own expectations," end quote. So some of the key factors that were addressed by Laura was working with the updated Frostbite engine. The big quote here was all new tech. It was basically a new engine. They went back. The Frostbite version they were on was so old, they had to go back and update. So it was basically putting the game on a new engine, end quote. She also addressed work from home conditions due to COVID. And then finally, the eye-catching one, Halo Infinite and its surprise launch 4 days before the Battlefield 2042 launch. According to Miele, the comparison between both games was not favorable because Halo Infinite was a very polished title, whereas Battlefield 2042 contained bugs and wasn't as polished. Paris Lily, I saw the smile on your face. Did Halo Infinite kill Battlefield 2042?
Absolutely not. And I wish we had the clip up here, because I know during the Battlefield 2042 beta on this very show, I said it then, delay this game. It's not ready. There's no way they can put this game out right now. It probably needs at least another 6 months in the oven before you put it out. But they did it anyways. And you would think, because another game I'm sure we're going to talk about later gave the entire industry lessons learned on why you don't put a game out until it's ready. So I hear what they're saying, but quite honestly, all of it comes off to me as excuses. Look, the work from home thing is real. Obviously I sympathize with developers having to do remote work because it's not easy. But to also bring the Frostbite engine into it and use that as an excuse, just not acceptable. If you knew that, delay the game. There's no one that was screaming that you had to have Battlefield 2042 at the end of 2021. If they would have come out and said, hey, after the feedback that we got from the community, we see it needs more time, we're going to delay this to late 2022. Everyone would have applauded, because they would have said, good, we want a great Battlefield. Hell, the last Battlefield told you, don't rush things out, because Battlefield 5 had so many problems. Yet you rushed this one out the gate and it just became a complete shit show. I just have to say it for what it is, because that's what it is. So to also wrangle Halo Infinite into it is ludicrous. What does Halo Infinite have to do with this? You knew it was coming out. Oh, because they stealth launched it on the 15th of November instead of coming out December 8th. That literally stole all your mojo. Completely disagree. If anything, yes, they're both first-person shooters. They're both multiplayer games, but there are two different audiences that play those games. Yes, there's going to be some overlap over it, but there's not going to be a person that goes, you know what? I'm having so much fun with Halo Infinite. I'm still going to spend $70 on Battlefield 2042, but I'm not going to play it. That's not happening. It's just simply not going to happen. So to hear that as an excuse to me is unacceptable. And I even tweeted this last night. EA should have listened to the community. I was definitely not the only person that was saying this game is not ready, please delay it. A lot of people that were plugged into the Battlefield community, the hardcore audience, the people that you should be listening to, were telling you, do not put this game out right now. It's not ready. There's too many technical issues. There's too many bugs. It's not ready for prime time. And here we are. So sorry. Can't blame another company and their game for your own shortcomings. And I could even take this back to, was that 2017 when Titanfall 2 came out? And you had Battlefield 1, Titanfall 2, and Call of Duty all come out at the same time, right? And Titanfall 2 failed because you put it out in between those two juggernaut of
Paris,
games,
I'm gonna
right?
blow your mind. That was 2016. That was 6
Oh
years
yeah,
ago,
see,
man.
God, wow,
I know.
Wow, that's crazy. But the point remains: EA has enough history and lessons learned over the years with their games to know when they should put them out, when they should not put them out. And look, again, let's just bring the elephant in the room. You just had CyberPunk 2077 a year ago tell you, don't rush a game out until it's ready. But they did it anyway. So it's their own fault. It truly is.
Yes, that was really well said. And you went over all of it and it felt so right. And Gary, I want to kick it to you. Is that an all right excuse to put out during the town hall meeting to possibly blame Microsoft and Halo for their release right there? We knew, you and I, ahead of time that the big three were going to come and do battle. What is 2 weeks, like Paris brought up, compared to releasing days before yours? Is that an all right excuse to put out there that Halo Infinite caused the downfall of this?
No, of course not. And I cringed, to be quite honest with you, when I read the reporting of that, whatever that was, kind of internal company meeting, postmortem thing. All of the excuses, or that they tried to lay this at the feet of, pointing the finger at everyone but themselves, basically.
Yep.
Yes, a much better shooter came out in the same window. That obviously didn't help you. Yes, COVID has, in many ways, made these big productions more difficult because people aren't, physically in the same space. All of the other all of the other things that they pointed the finger at, did any of those help them? No. Are any of those adequate excuses or the real reason why the game failed? No. The real you can't go laying the blame at the feet of other places until you've had a good hard look in the mirror. And EA has no one to blame for the failure of Battlefield 2042 than themselves. Paris, I thought, in his tweet yesterday, said it best. The community was telling you that this game wasn't ready. There was an extended beta period where there was a lot of media coverage, and the community was saying it ain't there yet. And their own internal QA must have been. You'd have to be deaf, dumb, and blind to not see the problems with that game. They were so glaring. And again, especially in the context of, again, just last year we saw like a real never again. Well, we all thought it was going to be a wake up call, right? CyberPunk was so hyped; it was such a big game, and it failed so spectacularly at launch, precisely because it just wasn't ready. It had the potential to be a good game, and we'll talk about it later. Maybe now it's actually finally on its way to becoming that, but at launch it just wasn't ready. And it was a catastrophe. And a year later, what lessons do the smartest, most well-paid people in this business take from that? Nothing. They learn nothing. They just do it all over again, or maybe we'll be fine this time. Well, no. Look at the damage that they've done. EA is going to lose a fortune on Battlefield 2042. And more than that, they've done significant damage to the broader brand. The next Battlefield game is going to have to recover from this, right? The next time they try to sell a Battlefield game, they're like, well, wasn't the last one a fucking catastrophe? Yes. Yeah, so how are they going to get players? They've lost a lot of trust and a lot of goodwill from one of the most engaged and passionate player bases out there. Like, Battlefield fans really love Battlefield. And they got really, really poorly treated and very badly burned by this latest game. I played a little bit when it first came out. We all remember those hype trailers, right? We love those trailers. I was so excited to play Battlefield 42. I played it for a day and I'm like, nah, this ain't ready. And it's so simple. Like, the game just wasn't. I don't think it's necessarily the game is like fundamentally misconceived, although I've certainly read criticisms of it that it is just a badly conceived, like, Battlefield game. They changed a lot of fundamental things about Battlefield that people had liked up to that point. But the biggest problem was just the hilarious bugs, hovercrafts flying up the sides of buildings, and these comedy type memes and moments that people are able to post on Reddit and Twitter, and the game just becomes a running joke, and it kills morale, and it kills their ability to get the game back up on its feet. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that if you had like a tiered system from like the top tier being like the launch of the game was an absolute astronomical success, down to like, what's the worst category you'd put in? Like, absolute catastrophe. I don't think you could put Battlefield 2042 in a lower category. It's the bottom category of this game was an absolute catastrophe. They're going to lose a lot of money. They've hurt their reputation in the industry. And for what? So they could ship the game in Q4. Right. That's it. Like, was it, ask yourself, was it worth it? No.
If anything, they should have looked, since they brought Halo Infinite into it, they should have looked at what Microsoft did. Microsoft took the step of going, you know what? It's not going to be ready. Delay it a year. Yeah. And then look, it can be argued maybe they still should have delayed a little longer to get certain features in there. But as far as having a complete multiplayer that you can play and that was relatively bug-free, mission accomplished. And it took them an entire year to get there, where 2042, I mean, that was... Yeah, I mean, I was saying it back then during the beta. I was like, oh, do not put this game out. And, I mean, for full disclosure, I'm a EA game changer, specifically with Battlefield. So I've been a part of this whole process going back to Battlefield 5. And, even Battlefield 5 had a rough launch. it was nowhere near as rough as what we got with 2042. It just
Yeah.
simply didn't make sense to put the game out the way they did.
And here's the thing, Paris, to that point. When these companies take the short-term view, it always ends up having long-term consequences for them. Halo's a great, like Halo and Cyberpunk, the two comps that we're kind of using here are great examples, right? So, and we'll talk about it later, but Cyberpunk now with the big 1.5 update and the next gen patch, it's people are starting to say this is the game that it should have been at launch. And they're finally kind of digging themselves out of that hole, arguably. But everyone will always remember the launch of Cyberpunk and what a disaster it was. Look at Halo right now. How many people are still talking about the fact that it was delayed a year? No one cares anymore because when the game was delivered, it was in pretty good shape. And so delaying the game was clearly the right decision for Microsoft. Shipping the game when it shipped was clearly the wrong decision for Cyberpunk and for Battlefield. The sad thing about this is, I guarantee you it's going to happen again this Christmas and next. It's going to keep, for some reason, the industry will never learn these lessons. They're glaringly obvious to all the rest of us. And yet, for the foreseeable future, I guarantee you, companies like EA and Activision and Ubisoft, whoever else, are going to continue to fail to learn the obvious lessons of these failures and successes, and continue to ship broken games just to hit some kind of arbitrary financial target, but which ultimately is going to do them more financial harm than good. I don't understand it.
Let's talk about where we're at with this, because I'm looking at it on paper, right, Paris? So we talked about it leading up into launch, the 3 different big first-person shooters coming in, what they each one offered, right? And I looked at Battlefield. Battlefield came in at a full price tag, right, of $60 to $70, depending on what console you bought it on. It was going to release with 7 full giant maps, up to 128 players, whatever that number was. They had Portal, which was in Xbox terms forged for Halo, right? They had community-driven custom games that people were being built with. They had a Hazard Zone, which was the tactical gameplay of mix of Battle Royale meets Tarkov meets Battlefield, right? And then on top of that, they were out there showing off the new specialists, right? We're moving away from just the normal class-based shooter that we had and moving into these specialists. What went wrong there? Was it just simply the bugs, or was it the formula changing into what it was with the specialists and gamer expectations of what they wanted in 2022 for games?
I think the vast majority was the bugs, were the technical issues. It made the game, I shouldn't say completely unplayable, but it made it not a fun experience to go in, because you're fighting the game to try and enjoy it. Yeah. When we talk about the specialists and some of the other changes that they had, I wasn't personally a fan of it. Some people in the community were, some weren't. So I think that's a little bit of a mix. But I think the consensus really comes down to, you gave us a game that technically was not ready to play. To maybe if the game was, bug free, you go in the specialists and all these new changes that they have, people would give it a chance. I'm not going to give it a chance when I'm fighting a game to just try and play it, right? So I think it starts with the technical issues, and then it just furthers it when you start talking about some of the other changes that they made as well, because now people are really going to be up in arms. And not only is it a buggy mess, but you also changed it from classic Battlefield. That's not what I want, right? So I think the community as a whole, just they weren't going to be willing to give it a chance. And I think it was the Portal mode. It's rumored potentially that might go free to play at this point.
Wow, interesting.
It won't matter unless they fix the bugs.
It's interesting, because I think the answer is a little from column A and a little from column B. From my understanding of playing it, and I watched a lot of commentary and videos about it afterwards, because I was fascinated to see just how much of a train wreck this was. They did change fun, like no scoreboards, things that have always been part, no KD, like things that are like basic things you expect in every shooter, and just the tone of it seemed really off. The whole idea of 128 players, it turned out that just didn't scale, and it was just chaos, and it wasn't working for a lot of people. A lot of stuff that previously had worked in Battlefield, they got rid of it and tried to reinvent the wheel for no good reason and made the game demonstrably worse. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's the bugs. Like when your first person shooter is not accurately tracking bullet hits, which it wasn't, what's the point?
Right. Right.
Yeah. A big one for me, Paris, I think it really comes down to the bugs for me, and I'm sure a lot of other people. But when I started to break it down, I was on the side of, I liked the specialists. I liked the route that they were going to evolve and change up the gameplay. But a big one for me was the maps, right? I was impressed that they launched with 7 maps. I liked that number, and we've talked about it with Halo and content of more maps, the better. But I think the issue with these maps were they just weren't the same as the Battlefields before.
Right.
There was a lack of levolution, my favorite word in gaming. It just didn't have that wow factor on a number of these maps. And then there was big moments where you would just be running across the map all by yourself, no gunplay, no nothing to
Yeah.
get to the next point, or you'd show up at a point and instead of feeling like there's 128 people on the map, there'd be 12, there'd be 20, and you're like, man, this doesn't feel that epic and big. And I think for a couple of the maps, when I look at them, like there was a couple of showstoppers, and then there was just a lot more duds, I think, out of all of it that missed the levolution, missed the pure gameplay of keeping the action high and the momentum moving, and just a lot of just downtime that I didn't want to see out of that. So it is interesting. I think they didn't meet my expectations when we look at the player side of like what I dreamt of and what I saw coming into it. But I want to move now into player numbers because, of course, we talked about Gary Whitta and his daily concurrence. We celebrated that, right? And we talked about Halo last week and what the player numbers look like right now. And so I looked over on Steam charts, and of course, this is just one small window into it all to look at. But as you look at it right now, if I look at the playing an hour ago, there's 2,700 people playing. 24-hour
God.
peak was 3,100. The all-time peak was 100,000. And we'll go back even further and we'll look at the average players for the past 30 days was 4,200. January was 7,000. December was 20,000. And November was 51. So there's just this huge player drop-off that we're seeing for this game. And just on Steam, sure, there could be more on other platforms, but let's talk about this right now, the future of Battlefield. Paris and Gary, I want to ask you both this question of like, what's next here? If you're the EA exec, and I know it's crazy to say, but I'm going to throw it out there. I want to talk about it. We're 3 months into launch. Is this something where I look at the team and say, hey, we're done. Let's move on. We have great other games, like maybe we bring back Titanfall, or do we somehow rebound this as the games as service we talk about and somehow course correct to get these numbers up? What do we look at 3 months into this? What would be the move, and how do you think they're going to save this game?
I mean,
go ahead.
Go ahead, Paris. I think we're both like trying to figure out like how where do you even start? But go ahead.
No. Well, okay. I'll just jump in and say this. I mean, like Marcus Lito, who used to be at Bungie. I think he did like Halo Reach, and then he had a game that he did called Disintegration. Unfortunately,
Yes.
that studio had to close. But he's over there now. Obviously, Vince Ampella is kind of the overseer of everything now. With the shooters at EA. So I do think there will be an attempt to try and salvage this, but I'll go all the way back to Battlefield 5. You now have back-to-back Battlefield games that have underperformed and underwhelmed the community, right? Like it's crazy. Battlefield 5 actually has more players playing that in 2042. So that kind of shows you the state of 2042 right now, right? But it's going to take them time. Like they'll still be doing fixes and trying to change things a year from now. We'll be talking about this, right? I don't want to say it's too late, but if you look at EA and their financials, Battlefield isn't even one of their top games anymore. And I don't think the community, like when they announce the next Battlefield, is the community going to be excited about it? Probably not. So I'm not saying Battlefield's going to go away or anything, but I just think that being a top tier shooter for EA, the damage has been done. It's going to be a long time before they can get this repaired because people will just go play Apex, or they're going to go play Halo, or they're going to go, play Call of Duty. Obviously, there's other shooters and options out there to satisfy the first person shooter crowd. And it's unfortunate because I am a Battlefield fan, but they've kind of stubbed their toe 2 times in a row. And the third time, was it, first time, shame on me, next time, shame on you, whatever the phrase is, but you get my point. I think people are going to be hesitant for the next Battlefield. And I don't know if 2042 is ever going to truly rebound.
Wow.
I mean, I agree. I mean, I think they may well be in the realm of existential crisis, given how catastrophic this game has been received. Look, Battlefield is a storied franchise, right? There have been great Battlefield games, and many of us have great Battlefield memories. It's an entrenched franchise. People have been excited about it for a long time, but I think this game eroded so much trust And we'll never know the actual numbers, but this clearly was not a cheap game to make or market. Like EA lost a lot of money. They lost a lot of money. We don't know how much, but I guarantee you it was a lot. And that's the one thing that will always make people EA sit up in attention. Wait, we lost money? We lost a lot of money? Well, something has to change. So I'm hoping that, after this, we're talking about this because, we're laughing about how they said, oh, but it was everyone else's fault but ours, COVID. The dog ate my homework, whatever it is they came up with, everything. But yeah, we just fucked up. Like, we didn't make a good game. We shipped it too early. We made a bunch of bad creative decisions. Like, and so they need, at this point, now as the dust settles, they need to step back and look at all the rubble of this failed game and take a really good look hard in the mirror and ask what they want to do next. Like, is it even worth doing another Battlefield game? My guess is they'll try to keep the franchise going. I think they still probably assume it has a lot of, the Battlefield name is still meaningful, still has value. We can earn back the players' trust. We don't have to, kill the whole franchise over one, really poorly received game. But they probably are going to feel like they have to step back and maybe go back to basics. Like, maybe the next Battlefield game will be like a return to a play style and a play setting more similar to the glory days of Battlefield whenever they were. But yeah, they're gonna have to get past this. Oh, it was everyone else's fault but our own, and have a real, a serious post-mortem, like a real come to Jesus type, moment where as a company, both EA and DICE have to really look hard at the mistakes that they made, admit that they fucked up. Because that's the first step on the road back is like admitting that you have a problem, right? I'm not saying, oh, it was because, well, Halo, whatever, it's not Halo's fault you made a shit game. That's your fault. Exactly. So, they're going to have, if there's a way forward for Battlefield, and I imagine they've already started having these conversations. They've got to, own their mistakes and figure out what the way forward is. My guess is this is not the end of Battlefield, but my next guess is also the next Battlefield game, when we see it, will be substantially different to 2042.
I agree. Completely agree.
Wow. All right. Well, only time will tell. It'll be really interesting to see where we are 3 months from now, 6 months from now. They announced that season 1 is going to be held off until the summer. So what does that bring? How does the bug fixes be addressed? Of course, there's also a petition going on right now, guys. I don't know if you've seen that, with like over 200,000 signatures for EA to give back their money and refund the game to certain players on different platforms. So that will be really interesting to see where Battlefield goes. But a fun one to bring in Halo Infinite as a piece of the critical address there. So fun topic right there. But let's move in, because I got to talk about it. We just had a big next-gen update finally hit the consoles. Patch 1.5 for CyberPunk 2077 is now here. And Paris Lily, the smile on my face to see that sweet next-gen patch on that game tile on my Xbox felt so good. And of course, I had to talk it over with you, because you're Mr. Night City to me. You're the man on the streets playing that game and breaking down Cyberpunk. Of course, it's a massive blog post with all of the updates. Everything's coming in. They put up a great infographic if you want to see just the quick ones of new weapons, additional apartments, hairdressing mirrors, rebalance of gameplay, economy and loot systems, ray-traced local shadows, various visual and quality improvements, all across each and every console and platform and generation that you could be playing on. But Paris, I want to talk about with you, is this the real deal? Is this the patch we've been looking for?
Yeah, first of all, I'll say I meant to be sitting in my Cyberpunk chair right now,
yes,
just so I can make some people mad. But no, Gary already said it. This is what they should have had at launch, 100% full stop.
Okay.
I'm of the mind that yes, the improvements that they've done with the AI, crowd control, combat's better. They've re-architected the skill tree. The driving mechanics are better. Visuals have been improved. I played it both on PC and on Xbox Series X. And this actually was my first time playing on console, was 1.5. I had a physical copy that I still had sealed into plastic until a couple of days ago. I opened it up and finally did the install, and it updated and everything looked great. But I mean, at its core, this is still not the Night City that I thought we were getting, going all the way back to when we first saw it in 2018. It's a good game. I'm having fun. at playing it this week. Absolutely. I think they will continue to make improvements to it as we go along, and kind of bringing this back to the previous conversation. They've done a great job of trying to salvage the mistake that they made a year ago. A lot of the comments that I've seen the past few days have been overwhelmingly positive about this, and a lot of people are like, "Hey, good on CD Projekt Red for addressing a lot of the issues that it had at launch." But I will say, to be clear, speaking specifically to Xbox One owners, this is still not necessarily fixing all those issues that you were having, right? And they even talked about during the stream. I mean, if you have a Series X or Series S, I think you're going to be fine moving forward, but you're still going to see some of the jank on the old consoles, on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. So just kind of, buyer beware when it comes to that. So this, I mean, the truth be told, being a huge fan of CD Projekt Red and of CyberPunk, leading up to the launch last year, I mean, this probably should have just been a next gen launch, because the PC never had as many issues as the console versions had, but the majority of your players are on console. And at least now the next gen consoles feel pretty on par with PC. Because like I said, playing on the Series X, I played it on the I guess the performance mode, right? So it's not ray tracing, but it's at a dynamic 4K doing 60 frames. Looks great, plays great. Didn't have any.
Did you try the resolution mode as well, Paris?
I did, but and maybe I'm getting turning into a snob or whatever. I can't do 30. I can't do 30 anymore.
You're not a snob, Paris.
Are we all there
you're
now?
On the right side of history.
Yeah, we're all there.
Yeah.
Always performance mode.
Yeah,
no, I can't do it. Like it's funny. Like even going back to Horizon Forbidden West, I switched over to the resolution mode, and at 30, it felt like I was stuck in. Yeah, I couldn't do it, so I go back to 60. But yeah, I know the Series S is what 1440p 30 frames.
Yeah,
but ironically enough, I only have a physical copy, so I couldn't play it on the X. I couldn't test it on the S, so only on the Series X. But it was good. And again, if you played it on PC, it looks phenomenal on PC, ray tracing and the whole thing. But they did a good job with this update. They really did. I felt like they addressed enough of the major issues that the game had at launch that this is absolutely a fun, playable experience now. I hope they, again, keep iterating on it and get closer to that original vision that they had back in 2018.
Paris, I'm happy to say that I jumped back in late last night. I wanted to be able to talk a little bit about it with you, but yeah, as you know, I've been watching a lot of 80s action movies with Nick Scarpino here, kind of funny. And so I got that kind of bug where I'm like, oh man, we're going to watch RoboCop next week. Maybe I should jump in and see what this is all about. And I played for 3 hours, and I really enjoyed my time with the game, right? It does look much better than I remember a year ago. It runs better. I only had about 2 small bugs where Jackie gave me a quick T-pose and then put his arms back down and said, hey, not now. But it seems to be running much better for me. And man, nothing beats that world going into and seeing the neon lights, thinking about all the androids and robots walking around you in this lifestyle. I really, really enjoyed it. So I look forward to playing more. But man, there's a lot of games to come out with. But it is exciting to see the patch on the tile finally, which is great. But with that,
can I just add something to the Cyberpunk conversation? I just wanted to say I'm glad I waited. It was actually a really nice, pleasant surprise. Whichever day it was this past week when I woke up and it was like, the next gen patch that we've all been waiting for and seemed like it would never come. It's out 1.5, and this is exactly what I wanted. I know I could have played on PC, and that's always been the most stable version, but I really wanted to play on the big, OLED TV on the couch and have that experience on console. But the old gen versions, obviously the PlayStation 4 version was, so bad they pulled it from the store. The Xbox One version was kind of messy. I was like, just wait for next gen. It seemed like it was going to take the longest time. And now it's here. I'm really excited to dive in. What I'm waiting for, and I literally just checked if they have it up yet, but I'm going to be really interested to watch the Digital Foundry, the full kind of tech breakdown of, not just comparing the PlayStation 5 and the X and the S versions, but really seeing what a jump it is over the older gen versions and just exactly what how much they did. But again, I never felt the need to jump in and play a suboptimal version of it right away. I'll go live my life. I'll play. There's other games I can play. Wait, come back to me when it's in good shape. I've got other things I can be getting on with. And now that it's here, I'm actually really excited to jump in this weekend. I know many people have, as Paris has touched upon, have broader problems with the game. Like they have issues with the story or more fundamental things that aren't going to be fixed in a patch. The game might not be for everyone, but it looks like a world that I want to spend time in. It looks like a really fun, very richly realized universe. And I love games like Mass Effect, where you feel like you just get lost in that place, right? You want to go to that place. And Cyberpunk feels like a game that can deliver that kind of experience. And I'm feeling quite smug, to be honest with you, that I waited for the right version to come out. Like, I didn't go play, the bad version just so I could play it right when it came out. It looks like it's in great shape now. I'm very excited to see, how the PS5 and Series X versions compare. But again, as Paris said, it feels like the game is now, and we shouldn't even be having these conversations. Like, I never want to have to say again, finally the game is where it should have been at launch. You know what? You know where the game should have been, what it is now, at launch.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know why we have to wait a year and a half for a game to get where it's supposed to be. But this is, again, talking about Battlefield, this is the world we live in.
And that's the unfortunate thing about all of this, because again, go back to December 2020, if they would have announced, you know what, we need way more time, we're going to delay this until 2022. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would have sucked to hear, oh, bummer. But then if we would have got this at launch, CD Projekt Red would have continued to been celebrated. Oh, they're great developer. Everyone loves them. This would have gotten 9s and 10s across the board reviews. I think a lot of people would have been super happy about this. Again, I do go back to the current gen consoles. Because I haven't heard a whole lot about people playing on that. Everything I've been seeing so far has been on the next gen consoles that people are talking about. But I can't imagine they've fixed all those issues, because that's where the crux of the real problem was on the old consoles, where the load times were just atrocious, like texture loading in, things like that. And obviously all the crazy bugs that we saw as well. But I'm happy with this. Like I said, it is a fun game to play, and kind of like you, Gary, obviously I did start playing at launch, but I stopped. So I'd never finished Cyberpunk 2077. I'm not going to finish this until I feel like it's in an acceptable place. Now it is. I'll go ahead and finish the story.
What do you, Pat? I want to take you back to that time when you were first playing it. There must have been a moment where you decided you were going to put the controller down and come back another. Did you what was it like a culmination of things, or what was like the tipping point moment for you? Like, you know what? I'll play this when it's ready.
I'll give you the moment, and it actually is still up. People can go to my YouTube channel and see this. I had a sponsored stream with NVIDIA and CD Projekt Red to play Cyberpunk 2077. Like, it was like early pre-launch, so everyone couldn't play it yet. And I'm playing through the early part of the game, and Jackie, that with the Maelstrom gang, and it's in the demo, right? But Jackie gets stuck inside and can't get out. And I literally was like a game-breaking bug. Like, there's nothing I could do, and I had to start it. And I just remember the chat was like, "What the hell is going on?" And it's like, and I had to restart the game. And right then and there, I go, "We might be in trouble." I go, "This
wow!" And on a sponsored stream as well. That's not a good look.
Yeah, not a good look. So, trust me, I caught a lot of shit that first month that game came out. All the yellow chair memes still haunt me to this day. But But yeah, it was probably about a month in that I realized, I go, you know what? I'm fighting, like I was talking about before with Battlefield. I'm fighting the game because of the bugs to try and play it. Let me just stop playing. And then when I realized this needed a lot of work, I go, you know what? I'm going to wait till there's a big significant patch that comes out, and then I'll come back to it. And here we are.
To me, it's the worst kind of experience. Like, a bad game is a bad game, right? And we play those and we write those off all the time and move on to the next thing. But when you know there's a good game in there, but you can't get to it because of the bugs, that to me is even worse.
Yeah, agreed. So, I keep saying lessons learned, but clearly the industry isn't learning because other companies keep doing it. So I guess we'll see who will be next, right? So someone else is going to do it too.
I got to get Paris out of here for an early weekend, so we're going to say goodbye to him and take a word from our sponsor.
Green Chef is the greenest way to get your greens. It's the most sustainable meal kit out there, offsetting 100% of their plastic packaging in every box and 100% of their carbon footprint and emissions. Their pre-portioned ingredients mean you reduce your food waste by at least 25% compared to boring old grocery shopping. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well with options for every lifestyle like keto and paleo, vegan, vegetarian, fast and fit, Mediterranean, and gluten-free. I'm Greg Miller, and I use Green Chef. They just sent me a box the other day. We had these Greek pitas. They were delicious. You cut them in half, and you put all the delicious stuff in there. Came in a brown bag. You open up the brown bag, take out all these other brown bags, then you recycle it all, then you eat this delicious food. It's great. Why wouldn't you do this? Go to greenchef.com/kindafunny130 and use the code kindafunny130 to get $130 off plus free shipping. That's greenchef.com/kindafunny130 and code kindafunny130 to get $130 off plus free shipping. Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well. Think of all the things you could do and all the places you could go if you didn't have high interest loans or credit card debt. Upstart helps make those dreams a reality by helping you pay off your existing debt quickly with a personal loan. Upstart is the fast and easy way to pay off your debt with a personal loan all online. Whether you're paying off credit cards, consolidating high interest debt, or funding personal expenses, over 500,000 people have used Upstart to get one fixed monthly payment. Upstart knows you're more than just your credit score and is expanding access to affordable credit. Unlike other lenders, Upstart considers your income and current employment to find you a smarter rate for your loan. With a 5-minute rate check, you can see your rate upfront for your loans between $1,000 and $50,000 and receive your funds as fast as 1 business day after accepting your loan. Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/kindafunny. That's upstart.com/kindafunny. Don't forget to use our URL to let them know we sent you. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Go to upstart.com/kindafunny.
Can I come back after the break?
Coming right back after the break. Paris Lily, talk to me.
Okay. I have one thing to say because I keep meaning to bring this up on like every show we've done in the new year. So Game Pass, we have to bring up Game Pass. It's an Xbox
Talk
show,
to me
right?
about Game Pass.
I don't know how we've gone this long without talking about Game Pass.
I know it's crazy, right? But here's what I want to bring up. So whoever's in charge of the Xbox Game Pass team right now, where's the family plan? We need
Whoa,
the
we're
family
going to bring
plan.
up the family plan?
That's a
Okay.
good point.
Okay.
Even Nintendo, which who are terrible at this sort of stuff, have a family plan.
Exactly. We talked about this, probably a year ago, but I honestly assumed last holiday we were going to get one. I really did. So where is it? Because in my mind, I could see $19.99 a month. You let 4 people in your family play on Game Pass.
Okay.
Done.
Okay.
Done.
That's got to be on their list, right? Because this actually happens to me a lot as well, Paris. Like my daughter wanted to play a game recently that was on Game Pass, but she doesn't want to play on my profile because she wants to get her own achievements and do it, on her profile. So, but she can go play it on my profile, but then I can't play another game over, elsewhere on another Xbox because the way those restrictions work or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's got to be on their to-do list, right? I would sign up for that tomorrow because I have 3 people in the house, all of whom play on Xbox. We all have our own Xbox profiles. We all love Game Pass, but every now and again we run into those. This Game Pass ain't big enough for all of us, and so even like I said, even Nintendo, which is terrible at online stuff, they have their Nintendo Switch Online. They have a family pass that lets up to 8 people.
Right.
Contribute, and that they don't even have to be in the same household. Like my sister-in-law is in our family plan. She lives on the other side of the country. Nintendo don't care. As long as you're paying, you can give those out to anyone that you want. So it's Microsoft have been so smart about so many other aspects of Game Pass. It is kind of a head scratcher that they haven't checked that box yet because it's kind of an obvious one.
Yeah, it's just surprising to me because like Spotify as an example, we have the family plan that we use and with Xbox, me and my 3 kids, we all play on Game Pass in some capacity. So it would make sense for my family to have a family plan to take advantage of that. And I know I'm not alone in that. And obviously, Gary, you just gave your use case as well. So it's surprising because, like I said, it seems to me $20 would be about right for a family plan for them to do. Have it be Game Pass Ultimate. Let the whole family enjoy it across all the devices. It just makes sense. Especially we know they're about to do more stuff with the cloud stuff and smart TVs and all that. So there's going to be more devices in the house that are going to have access into the Xbox ecosystem. So let the whole family engage with it. Just makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, Paris, it makes so much sense. We could deep dive into it. I know I got to get you out of here
Yeah,
semi
yeah, yeah.
soon, but I would love to ask all these questions. We'll put a pin in it. We'll come back and have another conversation, maybe a deep dive into that. But you're right, Paris. The family plan just feels like the ball on the tee, and we're ready to hit the home run out of the park right here with that one. So, all right, good call out, Paris. Let it
Yeah.
be heard. Let's see if it happens right away.
Right on. Well, yeah, I got to take off. So you guys enjoy the rest of the show, and I'll see you next week.
Have a good
Yeah,
weekend.
Paris, thank you so much. And I guess I'll just roll off the back of Paris right now. We'll go to the mid-month of February update for Game Pass right now. And out now, Gary Whitta, we got some fun stuff that you need to know about. Of course, Mass Effect Legendary Edition is coming to cloud, which means I can play Mass Effect in bed on the phone, which I absolutely love. Lawn Mowing Simulator is now out. Madden NFL 2022, if you're in the mood for some football on your life, is coming to console and PC. A game, Gary, that I have started, and maybe you'll be interested in. Total War Warhammer 3 is now out on PC. Gary, it's a little bit slower than what I want out of my RTS. I'm more of a Warcraft 3, StarCraft 2, Age of Empires 4 type of guy, but I'm learning the ways. This is a big RPG, a big RTS RPG going on here has some turn-based going on. It has these big open field, all-out war combat situations that I like. It's a little bit slow, but they have like a fast forward going on. I love it because I like this universe that Warhammer has of like these big scary monsters in this fantasy world going on right now, and I'm enjoying it. But Gary, where do you fall on the RTSs and more of the Warhammer 3 type?
I mean, I grew up, I was a PC guy, so I always loved the RTSs, Command and Conquer, Warcraft, Starcraft, Age of Empires. I loved them all. I've just, for some reason, I've never been like a Games Workshop, Warhammer kind of guy. It's just one of those geek boxes that I've never really checked. And I have friends, I know people that are really hardcore into it. They paint the miniatures and they really get into it. They're all the way in. Maybe I should give it a try though. I mean, I've had experiences like this before. I'm like, that's just not for me. And then, like, I remember for years I'd say, the Yakuza games, they're not for me. And then I played Like a Dragon. It was like one of my all-time favorite games. I'm like, oh my God, what have I been missing? So maybe I should, again, the beauty of Game Pass, right? Why not give it a try? We say it every time.
It's got me checking it out, Gary. A cool one for you. They have a co-op campaign. So if you and I want to, hang out for a night, just tell some stories, relax,
all right,
and try this, they got a cool co-op campaign. It is a meaty download over on the Xbox app for PC, but it is the big partnered release from the third-party titles. It's big. It looks cool, and I'm going to try some more, so I'll let you know how I progress. But out on February 22nd, you have RoboQuest, a game preview coming to PC. February 24th, you have Galactic Civilizations 3 on PC and Super Mega Baseball 3 on console. And then February 28th, you have Alice Madness Returns on PC coming your way. Leaving February 8th, you have Hypnospace Outlaw, Stealth Inc., Toa Luna Nights, and Killer Queen Black. I'm going to put a pause right now and say, everyone,
rest in peace.
Grab your friends for an awesome Friday or Saturday night. Get everybody together and play Killer Queen Black.
The game's so fun that
it's so good
that it several times killed the KindaFunny studio when we were in there, where we learned that if you stomped really hard on a specific part of the studio, all power would go out. So that's where we learned that when we were in the middle of a very heated match of Killer Queen Black. Great game.
How have I never heard of this game? I'm pulling up a trailer right now.
Oh, it's very fun in like arcade places as well. Like it's got a very big scene in arcades right now, Gary. Yeah, it's very fun. Like I think it's 3v3. A lot of different objectives going on all at once, several different ways to win a match. Very fun time, very fun party game. I would highly recommend it, Gary.
Okay, I'm looking at it right now.
Yep, exactly. So go check that out. And then some perks to note with your Game Pass Ultimate subscription. You can get 2 months of Hulu with no ads right now. And it does have a little bit of a caveat. I know it's usually just new subscribers, but it also has and returning subscribers with a little star asterisk next to it. So go check it out if you want some free months on Hulu with no ads.
Mike recommended a show for me right now on Hulu that people should watch.
Bob's Burgers. Easy. Go watch Bob's Burgers now on Hulu. It's my favorite show around. Halo Infinite Past Tense BR75 Battle Rifle Bundle is out now. Apex Legends has the Lucky Loot Weapon Charm. And for Madden NFL 22, you have the Supercharge Pack. So that's your Game Pass update. That was a nice, easy one. off the back of Paris Lily. But I want to wind down the show with one more viewer question coming in. And this one's a near and dear special one to my heart. And I think we're going to have some fun as Barrett Courtney fills in for Paris.
Yeah,
this is from
I want to, for
BoozeBags
the audio
JD.
listeners, I want to just cue them in. Like, they probably didn't see that I jumped in visually, all this stuff. Yeah, the Paris's chair came over to my place.
Oh,
That's
there you
what
go.
happened.
He's got the yellow chairs.
I'm kidding.
Right?
Andy got a cool new chair, so
Mhm.
I got his old chair.
So this is from BoozeBags JD, and he writes this. Wanted to first thank you guys for a great show. As someone who has always loved video games, but had a lull in playing as much as I wanted while my girls were younger, it's been great to listen to you guys now that they're older, and I have been able to get back into gaming more. Empty nest, ? Just add Master Chief. And it's been great to listen to you all as I've found some great games to try I never would have without this show. My actual question is, what gaming moment do you wish you could have your kid/significant other experience the same feelings you had when you played? It would to help them understand your attachment to games. Mine would either be Fallout 3 or coming out of Fallout 3 and coming out of the vault and seeing the old DC monuments, or Mass Effect 2 when you have to choose a character to potentially die at the end. So a really fun question there, and it's really awesome. We have Barrett joining us. We have Gary, who is a father. He has a loving wife who likes playing games. He's passing this along. And I'll jump in first so you guys can think about that. What significant gaming experience would you want to show to your kids or significant other to help them understand your attachment to games and have them experience that moment? For me, you guys, I always talk about me playing games and the social aspect. I've always grown up multiplayer games. I've always played with friends and with the family. And that's why it's always been so special to me, is because gaming brings me closer to others. It's a conversation starter. It's a way to make new friends. It's a way to hang out with old friends. And I love gaming as a group. And so when I look back on this question, I smiled because, yeah, there's some moments maybe in a single player game I would share, but actually for me, what I would want to share is that social aspect, that camaraderie, those smiles that you get from gaming with your friends. And so I look back on a couple of moments. I think to start, it would be Halo 2 and the, start of online gameplay, having your friends screaming across a microphone or in the same room as you, playing such a fun and radical game that was Halo 2 and the multiplayer that it was. Those were really special moments to me. And I think that was the start of it all on the social side. And then continuing, I would want to show them Guitar Hero. I think nothing is cooler than surrounding your friends in the living room, passing that guitar around, seeing someone shredded and everybody cheering and clapping. And then maybe you're learning, maybe you're bad at it, or maybe you are shredding and everybody's cheering for you. I thought that was a really special moment. I would want to show them online lobbies. I know there's a lot of toxicity in gaming. There's a lot of toxicity around Call of Duty, but I think for me, I'd want to show them that Call of Duty online lobby where kids cheered and screamed and shouted, and you could feel the energy. Even being alone in your own room, you could still feel the energy of so many others from around the globe. And I think that's a really special one when I remember putting on the headset and connecting with friends or making a new friends or seeing kids rage or scream and shout at an awesome play or a bad moment. I think that's really something special. And funny enough, I bring in Battlefield. I think Battlefield on the gaming side, the thing I'd want people to experience is Levolution. To see 64 people battling it out in all-out warfare and a giant tower in the middle of China come down upon you and the rubble spread out all around you and there's dust that's settling. And it's like, man, this is gaming to me, and it's really, really wild. And my final one I would want to share that I actually did get to share with my girlfriend, Michaela, which was really, really special, was It Takes Two. And just the power of gaming with a family member or a friend or a loved one, and that feeling of figuring it out together or seeing one person smile when maybe you're helping them along, or vice versa, when she got to share it with her dad, right? Of like seeing someone who might not be a gamer learn the mechanics, being able to play competently, and then solving those puzzles together. And just that smile that you have with your friends and family when you do something together in a co-op setting. And It Takes Two is that perfect game that I really, really love. So for me, it's a lot about the social aspect of gaming and different parts that brought it all full circle for me. So I'll kick it to one of you. Which one's ready to give their answer on what you would want to show to your significant other or loved one or family member.
Gary, you still thinking?
No, I'm good to go. If you need another minute, I got
go
a
ahead.
couple. All right, so I'll do one from each of the major console players for you. The first one that immediately came to mind was Journey. It's still one of the most transformative experiences that I've ever had playing a video game. It was, it's one of those things where you close the curtains, you put your phone on do not disturb, turn down the lights and turn up the volume. And there's one specific moment at the end of that. And the game's been out for years, so I think we can venture into spoiler territory. At the very, very end, when your character is almost at the top of the mountain, but like the snow is coming down and you can't go any further and you're going to die, but then you transcend almost like to this next spiritual plane and suddenly you're weightless and you're able to fly around. And that Austin Wintory's beautiful, gorgeous music score is playing. That moment of apotheosis, I just remember that hit me so fucking hard. Like I remember that having an impact on me, like as much as any book I've ever read, as any movie I've ever seen. I was like, video games have the power to be transformative, transportive art. And I just remember Journey being the game that really kind of made me real. I'd always believed that, but Journey was the game that really kind of like drove it home for me. Super Mario Galaxy, I still think about it all the time. That's another one where I think I'm right in saying that it was the first Mario game to have that full symphonic orchestral soundtrack. And as I'm wandering around like Gusty Garden or whatever, and that music's playing, I mean, the game itself was amazing, but that orchestral soundtrack, I still listen to it all the time. That to me was like, it took the whole Mario experience to a completely other level. And it's still my favorite, even more than Odyssey. Galaxy is still my favorite Mario game. Perhaps just because of like the nostalgia I have for it. Like it was just such a special game for me. I loved every minute of it. And then the third one, just most recently, I know I've been a bore about it before and I say it all the time, but The Artful Escape, every single moment of that game, it was just pure joy for me. The music, the psychedelic kind of epic rock opera nature of it, it just scratched me right where I itch. I just loved every moment of that game. It was, I guess it was tied with It Takes Two for Game of the Year last year for me.
I like those, Gary.
Yeah, for me, it's, I really got into video games when I realized how unique they are for a storytelling medium. So I'm trying to I was thinking of games that had me left me with a lot of emotion or feeling dead inside at the end, which is what a lot of games that I love do. Limbo is one I immediately thought of Journey because of how emotional I feel at the end of that game, and how that was very much a game I didn't own a PS3, but my one of my best friends from high school, who I still live a block away from, she owned a PS3 and she was like, "Hey, sit down, play this for 2 hours, and this is your afternoon. Play this right now." And I sat down on her couch, I played through it, and did not expect anything going into that game, and it was just such a special moment. So yeah, I'm trying to think of games that I would want kind of that for my wife to experience, or even my dad, who likes video games, but the most modern console he owns is a Wii U, and it's my Wii U that I sent back to him a couple of years ago and stuff like that. Something that I got to experience with him, because I streamed a lot in the beginning of the pandemic, was God of War 2018. And because he wasn't working at the time, he watched me play through a bunch of games, and God of War was the one where he was like, "Oh shit, this story is really, really cool and really engaging," and he really liked all of the Norse mythology that they got into there, and he, of course, the father-son story that they tell him that in that game, he really hooked on to. So that was a kind of a cool moment to share with someone who doesn't really play video games. But yeah, to go back to Limbo, of just how empty I felt inside at the end of that game, pun intended, and just kind of the allegory of that game is, and that story is just really, really cool and special, and it's rare to see that in a video game. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other ones that really. You go through I know I'm bringing up PlayStation games, but the ending of The Last of Us. It's something that I have shared with my wife, because she really likes. She's been getting into anime and stuff lately in the last few years, and Persona 5 Royal is very much just in its story very anime-like, right? and she's fallen in love with all that cast of characters and stuff like that, and she's seen a lot of those big moments that hit me really hard. So that's been cool to share that with her. Yeah, and I'm trying to think of like other moments like early on in my life that like got me into video games. I would say like probably like one of the bigger twists in like Chrono Trigger. I remember when I was like a really young kid playing that with my babysitter, and that being one of the first moments where I was like, oh, video games can be more than just like Pac-Man, you know? Like that was like, holy shit, like we can tell like these really interesting and engaging stories in this medium. And then, you know, I forgot all about it because I was like 6 or 7, and, you know, I thought it was crazy in the moment, and then just completely forgot about it for years. So yeah, I would say those would probably be like the moments that I would want people to experience, and also the end of Undertale as well, the true ending of Undertale, which I did not see coming and completely wrecked me. And you know, I want to see everybody's kind of experience with the end of that game and all of their different takeaways beyond just, you know, significant others and people close to me.
Oh, BoozeBags JD, thank you so much for the awesome question. It makes me smile hearing these two talk about those kind of games and thinking about everybody else around the globe who listens and watch and their idea of the games that they would share just like that. It's really, really special to see gaming bring us all together and create that connection. Let's move on from the sappy stuff and let's get out of here. Here's the final part of the episode. Here's a quick heads up, a thing you need to know about. You look outside, Barrett, you feel that weather? Spring is almost here, which means spring baseball is right around the corner, and MLB The Show has something fun for you to jump into this weekend, because MLB The Show 2022 has an online co-op tech test that's live right now. Here's the deets from the Xbox blog. This online feature makes it possible to squad up and play 2v2 or 3v3 with your favorite MLB or MILB teams in Play Now mode online, or with your card collection in Diamond Dynasty in MLB The Show 22. Team up online with friends, family, or other competitors across any console platform where MLB The Show 22 is available. You can also combine your select Diamond Dynasty cards with your teammates' collections to field the ultimate team. Starting February 17th through February 23rd, players 18 or over in the US and Canada with an Xbox Series X or S or Xbox One connected to the internet can participate in MLB The Show 2022 technical test. No need to sign up. It's open to everyone. You can download it right now on the Microsoft Store. I've downloaded it, and this is really, really fun because I love that they brought MLB The Show last year to Xbox, and I love when sports games allow me to play with my friends instead of just that one-on-one nature. I like when we can team up together, whether that be in Madden or NBA 2K, and I love the idea of, well, let's go hit the diamond together and play 2v2 or 3v3. I think that's a really cool way to elevate the co-op aspect, and having it online where you can take on other 2v2 or 3v3 squads. I think it's going to be a total blast, and I love the idea of also not only just Play Now, but Diamond Dynasty, getting our card collections in the mix. Whether Gary has the ultimate card collection we play on his team, or we all three come together and share our cards to create the best team, I think that's really, really dope. So check out the tech test if you're interested in playing some baseball this week to get ready for spring baseball. And that will be the end of the show.
Two really quick things, because
Yes.
when you said that, I was like, is this like PlayStation Studio developed game? Is this only for an Xbox thing? But I do see here that it's for all platforms, so PS5 and Switch as well can participate.
Check out
in
this
that
tech test. Wow!
Because I was about to think that was insane for like a tech test exclusively for Xbox for this game developed by a PlayStation first party studio. I thought it was going to be insane. And then the other thing I thought was interesting, and I don't know if this is just like a tech test like kind of thing, is that you have to be 18 or over. I don't know.
Yeah, that was weird. That was weird.
It's because it's like it's MLB. You know, it's like isn't it usually like E for everyone? That I thought was interesting, but I wonder if that's like a legal thing because it's like a tech test thing of whatever it does or whatever loops you have to get into to sign up or whatever. So interesting.
All right. Well, with that, Gary, Barrett, thank you so much for coming here. Thanks for hanging out with us on a lovely Friday. Let's get out of here and go enjoy our weekend. To everyone watching and listening, thank you for supporting the Kind of Funny Xcast. Thank you for enjoying the episode. Let me know what you thought of the episode and what you feeling for next week. It should be a fun time. But with that, we'll see you all next week. Goodbye, everyone.